All right, check this out. I'm here in Baja California, Mexico. There's a nice, beautiful extinct volcano and a really cool succulent. Also, the weather's a little bit windy, but I'm gonna try to do my best to nature journal these awesome succulents. These are a very cool and endemic species of succulent in the Dudleya genus that only grow in this part of Baja California, the peninsula here. They're so interesting and so cool. These will be great to nature journal, but there's a couple things about them that actually make them really hard to draw. Number one, because I'm gonna be using watercolors, and lots of people that do nature journaling use watercolors, it's gonna be hard to draw such a white, pale plant because our paper is also white. If you have tone paper, that would be great. Another thing about these that makes them really hard to draw is they're actually very regular geometrically. So there is a geometry to them that is very precise and hard to make up in your drawing. So drawing something like this lichen, ow, someone just poked me in the butt. Oh, look at that spine right there, ouch. There are some spiny things here. It's not the most spiny scrub ecosystem, but I gotta watch out for those. Ow, that hurt. Okay, so the geometry of these is actually very precise, and that's harder to draw than something that's just sort of fluffy and more random like that. So we're gonna try it anyways, despite those challenges. Those ones are cool. The first thing I'm gonna do is get some metadata and do some quick sketches to at least get something on the page. And there you have it, metadata, that easy. Now, because I'm worried about perfectionism and getting precious about my page, especially with these really cool but difficult to draw succulents. So what I'm gonna do is I'm intentionally gonna start with a bunch of quick sketches, sacrificial pancakes, just to get myself warmed up so I'm not worrying too much about the product and I can just get into the flow of the process. So the important thing about this is just to do a bunch of sketches quickly and get them on your page. I learned a lot here about what could go wrong in drawing of these succulents. The wrong thing to do would be to just start a big, huge drawing of one of these succulents right in the middle of your page. That would be wrong for a variety of reasons, because what is gonna likely happen to you is you're not gonna have the chance to make all these mistakes and learn mistakes on a small scale. You're immediately going to a big scale and you're probably gonna get precious about the subject, which is gonna make it harder for you to learn and harder to be objective about your drawing. I just learned a lot of reasons why these succulents, despite being cool, are gonna be really challenging to draw. Each one of these drawings is looking at the plants from different perspectives, and each one of them I learned something new. This wouldn't happen if I just did one big drawing. So first of all, look at the symmetry of this plant. There is a pattern going on here that is very regular and therefore very hard for you to fake. So that makes that part of these succulents very hard to draw, and it's the part that often gets people's attention. Also, look how bright it is when the sun is hitting it directly, because it's pretty sunny right now at this point. When the sun is hitting it directly, that is a very bright color, which is something that is hard to draw. It's easier to draw dark things than light things. There's also a lot of complexity. This plant right here is really calling to me, but look at how many leaves it has, how much overlap it has, and all of these side branches. There's a lot of complexity there. And if that weren't hard enough, there's also a lot of foreshortening, many art students' worst nightmare. So for example, look at this sepal right here. As it's pointing straight towards me, it has a lot of foreshortening. That means I can't show how long it is, whereas this one is horizontal. That's easy to draw. Look how hard that one is. And then you'll realize that there's almost infinite angles of foreshortening that you're gonna have to deal with, because there's all of these leaves or whatever they are, sepals, pointing at you. Look at the core of that thing. There is a lot of leaves that are pointing towards you. Those are going to be the ones that are hard to draw. It's hard for your brain to even wrap itself around that concept. So all of those leaves that are coming towards you or overlapping in different ways are going to be really hard to draw. So there are a lot of things about these succulents that are going to make them really hard to draw, but we're going to try to nature journal them anyways, because nature journaling is not just about making pretty botanical illustrations of things that we know we can draw easily and well, and then putting their scientific name underneath them. Nature journaling is about observing things in situ, observing things in a way that we can directly observe them, ask questions about them, and make unique observations instead of just relying on photos from other people and information from other people. So we're gonna go ahead and nature journal these right now. Here's what I got in terms of a small sort of diagram-like landscape showing what's back there. I think it's a pretty good job, and I captured important information quickly. That's gonna allow me to keep working on this page, nature journaling this really, really cool succulent. But I am feeling a little bit like losing a little bit of energy here at this stage, and I haven't even gotten to any like major drawings focused in on the succulent. But I think I'm going to drink some water, eat a little bit of a sugary snack, and hopefully take a little break here and get back to it. Might be getting a little bit dehydrated here in the coastal scrub. It feels a lot like a desert. Technically it's coastal scrub, but it's definitely hot here in the sun. So I'm gonna take a little bit of break, conserve my energy, and then try to finish off a page of this really cool Dudleya. I can tell I'm losing energy at this stage because I'm starting to look back at the pages I've done in the last few days. And I can tell that I'm low on energy because I'm also sitting down. And I can also tell I'm low on energy because I'm rationalizing eating more snacks or going back to camp. But I know I should keep going because there's a lot of things that I'm still curious about with this plant. Wow, this is a really hot spot. Maybe I should have chosen somewhere else or before the sun came out. Well, I'm starting to cook here in the sun. I'm not going to push myself too much longer in this situation. It's good to know when to push yourself, which I think a lot of us are not good at, and when to not push yourself. Some people have trouble with that part usually, at least in some arenas of their life. But when you're in a really dry environment, you can tell the watercolor's drying super quickly. That means you're also losing water from your body super quickly. Suddenly got a weird itchy feeling. Okay, so I'm gonna try to get some of these colors. You're definitely gonna have to use gouache with blue, a relatively saturated blue and a relatively saturated green. So for me, that's Hooker's green. And I'll probably even use a little bit of phthalo blue. And then I'll mix that with white gouache. And that gets me pretty close to the color that I need. very hard to draw the actual white part of this. You can either paint around it or come back with a opaque white tool. It's almost a little bit of yellow. I didn't notice that before, but I am noticing it now. A little bit of yellow. Maybe it's actually more like this. And then pink. Maybe a little bit more like naphthalide maroon. Less saturated than that magenta. Definitely some of that. Also looks like there's something. The pink should have been smaller and more spread out. I think that's pretty close to the color transition that I see happening on the leaf. So it got a little bit more a diagram there. I'm feeling all like itchy under, well, I don't know what it is, but I suddenly started getting all itchy and uncomfortable under my shirt and pants. And I don't think I'm sitting in any weird itch-inducing plant, and I don't see any bugs, but I almost feel like bugs crawling on. Maybe I'm dehydrated. I want to try to take care of myself as it gets towards the hottest part of the day, and there's still lots of cool stuff to see here in Baja. So what I'm going to do with this succulent page, succulent drawing and nature journaling page, is I'm actually going to go back to camp, and with some of the photos that I just took, do a little bit of homework and add a few notes here to the bottom of my page. Despite my plans, I never ended up adding more succulent drawings or notes to the bottom of this page because I got distracted. When I got back to camp, someone was cooking a 3-day-old tuna head in the coals, and I had to get a little sketch and notes about that. That happens sometimes when you're nature journaling. It's easy to get distracted even when you have a plan. But that's it for today. Thanks for joining the show, and stay tuned for next week's episode of the Nature Journal Show. Join me on Patreon for early episodes and more. Bye.